I know.
I reminded him yesterday. I said, bring your list.
He was laughing all day on that.
I think it's going to be ridiculous.
I'm never here. I know. But it would have been oh, Carrie says hi. Wait a minute. I see you guys.
Let's call order the monthly meeting for the town of Shandaken, March 2018. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There he is.
Board Member Alba? Here. Board Member DeStefani?
Here.
Board Member Storms? Board Member Van Blarkham? Here. Supervisor Stanley?
Approval of previous town board meeting minutes. Motion. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Supervisor's financial report, February 2018. Property taxes, $1,627,633. Medical insurance reimbursement, $137.52. Police fees, $60. Ambulance fees, $6,552.54. Town clerk easy pass, $347.15. Cell tower, $387.55. Justice fees, $9,340. Building permit fees, zoning, $585. Dog licenses, $118.50. Central mail contractual, $84.95. Planning fees, $100. New York Rising CDBG, $16,342.60. Higley settlement, $71.43. Town clerk permits, code officers, $145. Building contract expense refund, $91.44. Missing on this last minute came in the highway. The remainder of the highway tax warrant is $1,150,400 with an interest earned for the highway tax of $13.85 for a grand total of $2,812,410.53. Communications. I did not have time to write up my usual spiel for this month. Obviously, it's been a long haul the past couple of days. And first off, I just got to give my hats off to our emergency responders, our fire crews that were available, police department, ambulance department, and especially our highway workers and NYSEG crews that were out really busting chops to get this thing done. To know that the town of Shandaken, as of Friday morning around 10 a.m., we had 27 or 2,800 customers for NYSEG that were out of service. And here we are on Monday night, and we have approximately 13 people that are still out of service. So kudos to those guys, and hats off to them. So if you're not aware that at 10 o'clock on Friday morning, we declared a state of emergency with Ulster County Office of Emergency Management, thereby asking that people restrict their travel to emergency necessary travel only. Ask people not to park on town roads, all this stuff, and the police were very good at trying to keep that clear. Highway department was also good at trying to keep on top of that. Our highway crews know, I heard some people saying that there was only a single pass done on Friday, but know that with the amount of snow that was coming as quickly as it was coming, it really was just trying to clear at least a safe path for a vehicle to get through, because their next job was to help try to clear the roads for the NYSEG crews as they were developing a plan of attack to try to get the power on and back to service. So our service directly comes from Oneonta through transmission lines. So that's why every time power goes out, it generally goes from west to east throughout the town, and they'll go through the main lines, and then they'll go onto the branch lines, and then they go on to the sub-lines, which are off into the hollows and so on and so forth. So it branches out as it goes along. And we did get very detailed reports from them. Again, sorry, but there's not a solid line of communication, and as Joyce has pointed out on several occasions with the emergency contact cards, your emergency contact in this moment when you have no communications, no power, is always your firehouse. You go to the firehouse, see what's going on, and they should have somebody there. If not there, they'll direct you to where the information is being found. No, this was very different from Irene, too. That we were pretty much, we could get access to almost all parts of the town. It wasn't like Irene where we had people that were completely cut off. We were cut off for 2 days or so without access to Kingston or anything else. So it was a unique situation. You had power to Boyceville by the end of the day, Friday or early morning Saturday. We started getting turned on about, I think, 11:30 on High Mountain on Saturday morning. Pine Hill received about 2. Phoenicia, Shandaken received about 5, and so on down the line through Saturday on the main trunk line. Then they started working through, and I have to say again, NYSEG was good about staying in constant contact. I had direct contact numbers. I was with the foreman with boots on the ground, and he was telling me within 15 minutes to a half an hour of the time that he was giving me, the power was restored to those areas. Phoenicia, specifically where Phoenicia was powered on Saturday evening and then went off on Sunday morning. The problem there was that there was a large tree that was laying on the wires, the transmission line and the primary line running to Phoenicia on the old Route 28 spur by where the beavers are always swimming around, where they dump off the tubers. Saturday night or early Sunday morning, that tree had been removed and the line fell on the ground and then started sparking and arcing and created a little fire, which tripped the breaker for Phoenicia again. They addressed that as soon as they found out that Phoenicia had lost power again. Firehouses, we had firehouses got stocked with water and dry ice as of yesterday afternoon for those that were going to endure a second or third day without power. That's the best we could do at that point. We were getting the power, it was slowly coming on, and again, as I said, there were places like Kirkland Road and Broad Street Hollow that they were anticipating wouldn't get turned on till today, during the day, and actually they got to them overnight, so more people got more power in that capacity. This is, again, kudos to the highway crew, police or ambulance or firefighters. I know a lot of people put a lot of time in. It's exhausting and trying to keep up with it, but again, thanks to Joyce for the swift reach and trying to keep that constant line of communication, getting it out there and getting the word out as best we can. So thank you everybody for all your efforts on that. Aside from that, we have a couple of resolutions tonight. One is to go out for bid for solar lighting and landscaping around the large town signs. We have an appointment to the Assessment Board of Review, Vivian Welton. We have to set a public hearing. There's a Cold War extension for veterans for tax exemption, and that sundown through the state law. So we have to do an extension in order to do that. They renewed it, and we have to renew it, Leslie. So we're going to have a public hearing because it is a local law. So we'll do that prior to next month's meeting. And we're also hiring a part-time police officer to help with our forces. And look forward to welcoming him. Aside from that, do have a bit of news, and I should put it probably in the resolution, but we can do it by motion. Sadly to say, our building inspector Warren Tutt will be leaving us for better and bigger things, and appreciate his service, and I think you're going to be a hard guy to replace, because I really think you've done a bang-up job while you've been here and took over quite a mess that was up in that office, and really...
Well, now it runs so smooth. It'll be easier for the next person.
Between him and Ann Riccadella, they really have done a bang-up job, like reorganizing that office to a logical sense. And I'm sorry to be missing you, especially with your floodplain manager experience and us trying to go through the community rating system stuff. That's going to be necessary to have somebody that really knows floodplains. But we wish you the best of luck. With that, I know a couple other people had something else they wanted to talk or say something.
I just wanted to look, Sal was a little fuzzy at 6 now, but they could hear you. Because I just got messages, so you know. I'll just reiterate about the power outages, if you don't mind, because this is a big issue in this town. except for Rick evidently. During extended
Well,
power
hold on, before you go
outages.
further, I gotta say kudos to Rick, because Rick has to sit in that water house down there and manually switch on and off those motors,
Wow.
the pumps, through the entire course of the power being out. So kudos to you for stepping up there. Thank you.
Okay.
He was sleeping there.
Part of the job, right?
So the sound is good. Okay, so during extended power outages, like he said, state of emergency, town firehouse is open with staff to provide information assistance and a warming station for the public. Also in emergency, there's a pole alarm because there's a real emergency. Like if you have a car accident in front of a firehouse and you're dying, you can pull a fire alarm to get assistance.
I don't know that every firehouse, there is one in Big Indian.
Okay, there's one in Phoenicia too. But I mean, if somebody's in dire need and there's nobody at the firehouse.
I'm gonna just tell you how that works. All that does is activate the siren.
Right.
So if somebody has to hear the siren,
Yeah.
respond to the firehouse, and get the information. If somebody just pushes the button and leaves, we have no idea
Right. Okay.
what
All
the
right.
situation might be. So
That-
again, just as information, all it does is ring the siren.
Okay.
And again, then when somebody goes to the firehouse, they'll get the information. Then a call has to go to Kingston to activate everybody else's pager so that you can get the manpower to the
Okay.
incident.
Because I get all the calls in my office about people that didn't have a backup heating source. This week is going to be very cold. It's going to be in the 20s. So if they don't have a backup heating source, they have to have a plan. And if the firehouses are open, they can go there to get warmed up or whatever, or find a neighbor that they can go visit, I would assume. Okay. The Verizon landline usually works pretty well. There were a few outages, Woodland Valley, a few others. But if you have a neighbor that has a Verizon landline and you don't, I would make friends with that neighbor for situations like this because it does come in handy. If you have not signed up for our emergency alert system, please do so now. The system can call your home phone, cell phone, send a text or email. Warnings are sent out for any major weather event, and the system can also help in many ways after an event. If you don't go online, you can call me in my office at 688-5004 or my home phone at 688-2221, and I will sign you up. So there are a lot of people in town that don't go online, a lot of seniors, so the alert system does help them. Yes. Okay? That's it.
Thank you.
And kudos to you, Joyce, because you have done so much
Yeah.
to help this town. No, really, with the emergency.
I'm really into
notices.
information, and I hear these people, and they don't know what's going on. They really don't. You know, a lot of new people coming into the area, they think that they have a landlord that's going to do all this for them. When you buy a house here, you're responsible for that land. They call us, they want our town guys, they have a tree on their electric line right outside their house on their property. You got to call the electric company. We can't touch electric lines at all. You know, there's just a lot of stuff that people don't know. So they can call my office and I'll fill you in. I'm not shy and I'll help you out any way I can.
And that you went into Boysville on Saturday and kept everyone that looked online about
If
what-
they could get online. See,
Yeah.
that's where we have a gap, you know. But then I
But
hope that you people
you
tell the
did.
people, don't go online. You know,
Yeah.
so it all hopefully helps a little bit.
It does.
So, you know, Rob notified me and we've shared stuff and, you know, and Chad, you know, so it's good. We all try to work together. Thank you.
And that brings me into the other item I wanted to talk about. I was hoping Brandon was here, but we had an emergency on Lane Street on Friday late morning. And one of our neighbors was found unresponsive on his floor in his house. And Peter Murphy, who's new to the area, at least new to our residency, always checked on this one neighbor. And he noticed that there was no fire going, so he went out of the chimney, so he went over and immediately started CPR. And then got a neighbor next door, Kathy Oakley, and her husband, Glenn, to Hazelton, involved. And Glenn went to town and got the ambulance to come. And it was amazing how everyone worked together in this crisis, including the highway department. because Lane Street is a little cul-de-sac, but it was clear enough that the ambulance could get down to us. And they worked so marvelous. I mean, it was just incredible how well they all worked together. And as a medical professional, I saw a team working together. And it was a blessing in a very sad situation. The patient is now in Kingston, and our community saved his life. And I think that's one of the main reasons we live here, because the people that work for the town and all our neighbors. It's a beautiful area, but thank God the people that are here, we all have each other. So thank you, everyone that really helped out in this emergency.
And I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge Joe Strauss, who is my very own grandfather at the age of 86, stepped down from the Police Commissioners Committee this past week, just in time for his birthday. He couldn't be here tonight, but he's undoubtedly home watching, so I just wanted to say thank you for your service to the town, Papa. You're the one who inspired me to civic duty, so thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
I was just looking at my phone. This has to do with Joyce's mention of the...
Can we go to public comment? We'll go through our...
Well, I just-
I don't know if you've been to a town meeting, but we'll go through our agenda.
I'll wait till later.
And I'll give you a moment to say
Oh,
something.
I wanted to hear you.
You'll hear it. You'll hear it. You get your moments in the sun, too. Don't worry. If there's no other communications from board members, then we'll move on to committee reports. Ambulance? You want to read the ambulance? Since Brendan's not here?
Yeah.
Want me to read it?
Yeah, because I'm in there, so.
February 2018 ambulance report. Total calls received 44, mutual aid given none, mutual aid received none. Good evening, members of the board and town residents. I would like to start off my report by giving a big hand to all the ambulance, fire department, town highway personnel, and town administration that worked hard through the storm to help and keep all the town residents safe and make sure that those that called for help were able to get the help that was needed. Also to the linemen that have been working day and night to try to get the power back on for the town's residents. In closing, I would like to pass on a heartfelt thank you from one of Friday's ambulance crew to town board member Gail Alba for her speedy response and for her help on a call for service at her neighbor's house. Thank you very much, Gail. As always, I would like to end my report by saying have a safe and healthy month. Vehicle 7850 did 164 miles, 7851 did 1,002 miles, 625 did 513 miles, and 626 did 1,488 miles. Stay safe out there. Move on to building and zoning. Our last report from Mr. Tutt.
I appreciate the vertical paper. Not horizontal.
The most vocal person up there. Gave me a hard time last time about it. I can't handle this turning the paper side. That was for you, Joyce.
Oh, thank you.
Took me forever to figure that
I need a
out.
copy.
So we had, for February, we had 8 building permits, 2 demolition permits, and 1 filter tape permit, resulting in 33 building inspections, 13 fire inspections, 2 certificates of occupancy, 11 certificates of compliance, 9 requests for research, 1 stop work, and 9 violations, for a total income of $4,855. The income for the month was due largely to the Emerson paying their fine for 16 false alarms last year. First time they've ever been fined, and they paid. Floodplain Department, the Empire Rail Museum will begin site development for Rail Explorers as soon as the weather permits. Since they're the owners of the property, they can proceed forward, since the Rail Explorers are still trying to get, which is the Planning Department. Rail Explorers and Big Indian Adventure Park are both expecting to have site plans ready for the March 14th planning board meeting, at which point we can then proceed forward, assuming the applications and site plans are good, they can move forward for their public hearings and get their permits issued. The Shandaken Inn, I didn't put that on here. I spoke with Jay Jacobs. He is not proposing to open until next year because he's going to develop his own site plan. He wants to do some renovations. He wants to add some outbuildings. So he'll be getting that to us the next 2 months or something. So he's working on that process. Zoning department, we had 2 applications for area variances. One was for Phoenicia Playhouse and a private residence. Playhouse is planning a minor addition as part of their major overhaul. They will be revamping the inside of the building, adding on more wing space to one side, redoing the front of the building, putting in a better handicap ramp. So that'll all take place next month. As I prepare to move on, I would say it has been a pleasure most of the time serving the town. I've met many very interesting people during my time, and although there are some who would rather not see me leave, I'm sure there are quite a few who can't wait. I told Dan that she can contact me. She has my personal cell phone number anytime with questions or issues as we go through this transition. And I am confident the next CEO will be successful. Now that Anna and myself have brought the office basically kicking and screaming, we dragged it into the 21st century. And once again, I thank you for this opportunity and wish everyone well in the future. Thank
All right, so we have 179 calls for service with 16 arrests. But more importantly, during any type of severe weather, if you're concerned about a neighbor, you should be calling us, and we will absolutely go out and check on them. If there's somebody that with a special need that we don't know about, then maybe you should give us a call now so that we can prepare.
And we have a list
We
of one.
kind of have a running list of residents that we check on when it comes to emergency type of situations. But obviously, we don't know everybody and their needs. So if there is a concern for somebody, give us a call and we'll add them to our non-official list.
Rob, I was calling different phone companies for landlines, emergency landlines, and the only one I came up with was Verizon. And as of today, I got the information that it's $20 to $30 a month, and it is on copper wiring. So if there's a bad storm, it won't go down. And I do have a number of people are interested in installing them in their home.
So just,
Okay.
Eric, we remember this. I mean, Irene, so that's the issue, is that some of the landlines are now fiber optic, so when the power goes down, the fiber optic cables aren't running. Which was Irene, when luckily we had somebody that worked in the area, local, that works for Verizon. They were able to swing 3 copper lines into the firehouse so that we had communication. So, but the problem is that most, like 99.9% of those copper lines are gone. I mean, Verizon has worked hard to get rid of them, just like they got rid of the payphones. So,
They would put them back in now.
finish water.
Things are running pretty well. The generator performed as expected. Rick had it serviced, 3 weeks ago maybe?
Yes, and I'd like to thank Al Peavy for getting this outfit out of Tilson. They came up last week and serviced it just before this.
Otherwise,
if it wasn't for Al, I wouldn't have had it.
Thank God it worked, because otherwise everybody would be out of water. Whatever you saved in your tub or what have you. And that big leak, I guess, was fixed while I was on vacation. The one on Ave Maria. So the system is running really well. And Rick had lost a few hours sleep. So. But other than that, it's been great.
Can't make him any more crappy.
Well, he has his moments that are pretty good too. So
Yeah.
the next meeting is on the 21st, 6:30 and 11.
Thanks. Pine Hill Water, nothing to report. Pine Hill Water worked fine. It's mostly a gravity feed system, so most of the residents of Pine Hill had their water supplied. Museum?
Yes, Shandaken Historical Museum. They had 18 visitors in the month of January. We don't have February's report. This is February. Also, but there was no meeting because of the weather on Monday. We finally had the halls and the ceilings and the entryways scraped, plastered, repaired, and painted. The building inspector was here. We need to replace batteries at 2 of our exits in the emergency light boxes. Also, we need a gutter on the back of the building because of ice has formed on the fire escape. The snow covered the real condition of the base of the fire escape. They have to clean up the furnace that needs to be 3 feet of clearance around the electrical panel. They also had an opportunity to have an audio tour made for the advertisement of the museum free of charge. More information on that will be available. The new furnace, though, is creating an awful lot of moisture in the furnace room. Perhaps we need to order that industrial size dehumidifier. The new furniture has added our ability, the new furnace has ended our ability to have hot water. There is none. So there'll be Kathleen Myers will be contacting Heritage on that. And the Maritime Museum in Kingston is having an exhibit of local museums. So Kathleen sent a stack of brochures and business cards there.
Thank you. I'll knock a couple of those off. Warren, is that you saying that they 3 feet clearance around the boiler?
They, not the boiler, they can't even get their electric panel.
Oh, their electric panel?
If they have a problem, they can't turn the circuits
So
off
they-
because they piled all the crap in front of
So, they got clutter in front of the electric panel. It's not the boiler.
them. No, it's not the boiler. Didn't say
Okay.
electric panel. The boiler's fine.
Okay.
They did a nice
Well, I
job.
didn't know if the boiler, if stuff that was done for the boiler is blocking. Okay, so that's fine. That's clutter that needs to be removed. The emergency light batteries we can do. I spoke to them about the hot water, and that's not to be done with Heritage. We can have a local plumber do that. It's basically an on-demand heater they can put right under the sink that'll give it to them like that. And condensate. So is there no condensate drain on that boiler?
No, it's moisture. Since they put the new boiler in, moisture's condensing on the inside of that space.
Oh.
Coming down the walls, the windows, everything.
Oh, I got you. So it's sucking the
So
humidity out of the
they're containing it right now to that room, but we don't want to see it migrate out of that room to
Gotcha.
everything else in
All
the
right.
museum. And then the fire escape, when I was there, you could have slid it down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
so either we don't use it, or you pick me up, just, you get the, move it in. Move the water away from it.
Thank you.
Yes.
And lastly, we have recreation, but Marty is not here. Nothing to report. Public comments on resolutions. There's none. We'll go.
Relevant to the discussion about landlines, about Verizon, I know only several months ago there was some talk about expanding cell phone service into town, which would help a tremendous amount of people. Is that still open? Or?
Yeah, so I know myself and Faye had been in contact with the woman from Verizon regarding she had gone through and looked at microcells and contacted a number of people, businesses, the library, the firehouse, and so on, about putting microcells in their buildings. Issue there is that if you have a microcell and power goes out, those aren't going to work. So the other option was that we also, Faye put her in touch with somebody that was looking at a cell tower maybe on their property that would at least supply Phoenicia, and that's where we left it. We haven't heard from them. That was probably a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. The other one was that I got a call from our cell tower company, asked, and I questioned them about Verizon and noted that Verizon's making inquiries in Phoenicia, so I put those two ladies in contact with each other. And again, that was probably 2 weeks ago. I just haven't had a chance to follow up to hear what they had to say. So, but we're still trying to work on it, and we'd really like to have a centralized cell service. And as I explained to Board Member Alba, that I had already talked with Steve with Ulster County Management that if we were looking at a prolonged period, like if it was going to go more than 2 days, 3 days without power in the Phoenicia area specifically, that I made an inquiry about a cell on wheels, CAL they call it, to go up in Phoenicia just to give us temporary cell service there so we can get some communication lines. So,
I have another question. You said something about state of emergency.
Yes.
I saw on the governor's Facebook page that he declared 4 counties as a state of emergency, and Ulster wasn't one of those counties. And then he went on to talk about all the emergency personnel that were coming, National Guard being activated, out-of-state crews coming in to help out. Are we losing out on that because Ulster wasn't?
not really. You got to know that from Binghamton, Oneonta, all that, they really got hammered hard. And the way that you claim, basically it's like a trickle up that goes from state declarations. So if the town does it, and several towns do it, then the county's gonna ask for an assessment of damages, which they haven't requested yet. They have to meet a certain number, I forget how many million losses, and then they put their claim to the state, and then the state includes them in their state of emergency. We had a storm last year that we expended a lot of resources. The county didn't get called into the state of emergency at that time. But then 6 months later, we got a call, bring all your information, and we're actually getting reimbursed for that 6 months later after the fact. They included us in it. So us declaring can help us down the line for the expended resources, the extra resources we put in place. So that's really, there's two things that go into it. You have a state of emergency, and then you have an emergency order. So you declare the state of emergency just to open up for making the claims of funding, whatever, and let people know, yeah, we're having trouble. But then you have an emergency order, which places certain restrictions. The first day, again, was limiting traffic, trying to keep it emergency personnel only on the roads, don't park on town roads. And we changed that once we got to like 9 o'clock, Sunday night, last night. We went to just no parking on town roads. We're keeping the state of emergency open, which doesn't limit your traffic and running around town, but just to keep people on alert because of this Wednesday storm that's impending. We don't know what's going to happen with it, but 8 inches of wet, heavy snow could certainly take down a lot of these temporary fixes that were done by NYSEG to help restore people. So we have that option. Once you declare, you got 5 days to rescind. So we're just keeping it open for now to see what happens on Wednesday right now. Motions. So can we do these both at the same time? Or should we do them separately first? Doesn't matter.
You can walk together.
Entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Joe Strauss from the Board of Police Commissioners, as well as Warren Tuck, Building, Zoning, Floodplain Administrator, Code Officer.
Building, zoning, planning, fire, flood.
There you go. Building, Zoning, Fire, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I'll make that motion.
For a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolutions.
All right, resolution 6118, resolution to pay all bills. Whereas the Department of Auditing and Control require town boards to sign and inspect all vouchers coming to town for payment to number and total amounts from each fund. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board authorize the following vouchers paid. From general, $842,283.25. Highway, $86,651.13. Phoenicia Water, $6,961.54. Pine Hill Water, $50,485.59. Phoenicia Lights, $1,167.50. Chichester Lights, $163.90. Pine Hill Lights, $659.23. Watershed Monies, $1,712, for a grand total of $990,084.14. Move its adoption. Second.
Board Member Alba?
Yes.
Board Member Deesapani?
Yeah.
Board Member Malloy?
What?
Board Member Malloy?
Oh, come on, man.
Who wrote this?
That's on you. That's on you.
Page too.
Sam Larkin. I always said don't cut and paste. Supervisor Stanley.
Yes.
Oh, he's on that one.
I just want to see if you're all listening.
Yeah.
Resolution 6218, resolution to advertise for landscaping and solar lighting for large town welcome signs. Whereas the town of Shandaken was awarded a $28,400 grant through the New York State DEC Smart Growth Fund for various improvements to town parks and signage. And whereas a portion of the grant included provisions for improved landscaping and solar lighting fixtures on the 2 large welcome signs along Route 28 in Mount Tremper and High Mount. And whereas those provisions included landscaping with natural native plantings and solar lighting fixtures, therefore be it resolved the town of Shandaken Town Board wishes to advertise for landscaping work and installation of solar lighting fixtures and amenities. Be it further resolved, any prospective bidders should contact the town supervisor at 845-688-7165 for details and must be able to prove liability and workman's compensation insurance coverage for themselves and any other employees. All sealed bid envelopes must be clearly marked in large block letters reading either landscaping bid or lighting bid and should be received no later than 3 p.m. on Monday, April 2nd, 2018, at the Town Clerk's Office, P.O. Box 677209, Route 28, Shandaken, New York 12480. All bids will be opened and read aloud at the Town Board meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. that same evening. The Town of Shandaken retains the right to reject any and all bids and move its adoption.
I second.
Board Member Alba?
Yes.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blarkum?
Yes.
And Supervisor Stanley?
Yes. Keep on every one of them. Resolution 6318, Assessor, Board of Assessment Review. Whereas under Section 20 of the Town Law, the Town Board shall designate all appointed officers and employees of the town. Therefore, be it resolved that Vivian Welton of Phoenicia be appointed as member of the Shandaken Board of Assessment Review, term to expire September of 2022, at no compensation, and move its adoption. Somebody's getting fired in your office.
Board Member Alba?
Yes.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blarkum?
Yes.
And Supervisor Stanley?
Yes.
Resolution 6418, set public hearing to extend Cold War veterans tax exemption. Whereas the town of Shandaken has to amend extended local law number 6 of 2008 pertaining to veterans to the U.S. state during the Cold War. Therefore, be resolved that the town of Shandaken Town Board does hereby call for a public hearing on this law on Monday, April 2nd, 2018 at 6:45 p.m. Preceding our regular monthly meeting at the Shandaken Town Hall, 7209 Route 28, Shandaken, New York, to hear all those in favor and against such actions and move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Alba?
Yes.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blarkum?
Yes.
And Supervisor Stanley?
Yes.
Resolution 6518, Town Police Department. Whereas the town of Shandaken is a town of the second class, and whereas the town is a police department, and whereas the town currently employs 3 full-time officers and is contractually required to maintain 4 full-time officers. And whereas a part-time officer has been recommended by the police commissioners, therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the town law of the state of New York, section 21B, the town board hereby appoints the following individual as part-time officer to receive compensation as indicated. Name, David Kimball, at $19.88 per hour, and that said police officer shall have all powers conferred upon police officers by the general laws of the state of New York, including but not limited to, and such powers not inconsistent with law, as herein set forth. And that said police officer shall have all powers designated in section 2.20 of the Criminal Procedure Law of the state of New York, and shall have the following special duties. 1, to enforce all local laws, ordinances, and regulations of the town of Shandaken. 2, to enforce the vehicle and traffic laws of the state of New York to the extent that police officers may be so permitted by the general laws of the state of New York. 3, to enforce such penal statutes as police officers are permitted to enforce pursuant to the general laws of the state of New York. And in furtherance of said special duties, police officers are hereby authorized to use a town vehicle to be known as the police officer's vehicle, which may be equipped with emergency lights in accordance with the applicable sections of the vehicle and traffic law, and may use the state and county radio to the extent permitted by the general laws of the state of New York, and may carry firearms while on duty in compliance with the general laws of the state of New York pertaining to police officers generally. And I move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Alba?
Yes.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blarkum?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes. Yeah, there was a lot of, you're going to have to talk to whoever did that.
No.
There's a lot of extraneous information about
Well, they got to get to me.
No.
Yeah, right.
We have to say when you just.
With that, we'll move to open public comment. Chuck? Well, I had so much earlier, I lost some of it.
The first issue had to do with the emergency notification system, although I did get a notification for the impending weather that was to come on Friday, I might suggest that also, if you're going to declare a state of emergency, that be put out in the form of a broadcast also.
I did do one.
Well, I didn't get it.
I did Saturday.
Here's my phone. You
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
what
so-
happened, well, I had to go to Boyceville, and the Wi-Fi was so bad at Brettelone, I had done the voice one. People got the voice one. I have it online. I
Okay.
don't know why, but I'll check the records.
Okay.
It might be a reason, because I
Anyway.
go check each individual person.
Which brings me to the next thing. Without cell phone service or without phone service, you're not going to get any of these messages. It seems like every time we have a disaster, we talk about the need for cell service or the lack thereof. And although we have had improvements since Irene with the tower at the Glenbrook Park, which is certainly beneficial, it is not accommodating the entire town. Having said that, we'll move on, and I don't know where the money went, but I heard mention of a fine that was levied on the Emerson. Does that go to the town, or does that go to the Phoenicia Fire Department?
Goes to the fire department.
Thank you. I'm going to ask if, at last month's meeting, there was a mention of the state contesting the assessment of the state land, and they were going to make their own assessment. Is there any?
No, that's not, so that's not the case. What it was is it's a case of the governor's office is putting into his executive budget a clause whereby the state would basically assess their own state lands. They're not contesting, so it's not a lawsuit. But they're planning, they have a bill in place to state that they would do their own assessments of their land, or basically lock them into what they are, and then only increase them whatever they calculate the tax cap should be, which is not 2% as much as they say 2%. It's been like 0.17, stuff like that, or 0.01. And they'll only raise their payment by that much. The rest of the money, if the town, exceeds the tax cap or even does just 2%, the rest of it would be laid over to the rest of the public at large. So yeah, we've already notified several of the state senators. I spoke with
Okay, but that was, I wanted to know that there was a follow-up on the town board's behalf for the
Absolutely.
sake of the residents. I mean, the state owns 78% of the land here,
Yeah.
and it would be a significant burden on everybody else if they decide that they don't want to pay what would be considered their fair share as opposed as assessed by the local assessors.
And just to add to it, that myself, Dave Brooks, Jerry Fairbird, and Sylvia Roselle helped bring it up at the Ulster County Supervisors monthly meeting, whereby they passed a resolution supporting not taking action on this and having it removed from the bill.
Very good, thank you.
So Chuck,
Yes.
the first alert was sent out Thursday, March 1st at 9:01.
I got
That was
that
about
one.
heavy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And our number on texts are 99538, which is our account number, but it does say Town of Shandaken. And Saturday it was sent out at March 3rd at 10:35.
Okay.
So I'll
I didn't get that one. I
the
got
voice
the
one, and then also home. And when I didn't do an email, I couldn't get it done because
Sure.
Wi-Fi was so bad, and I actually had to have the text done by the Swift Alert people. I'd saved the message. I just couldn't get a Wi-Fi connection to load the page. It
Well,
was
thank
so
you for
bad.
doing what
Bread
you're doing.
alone.
I
No
was
offense
just-
to Bread Alone,
Yeah.
but they needed to amp it up when there's 50 people and they're using it, right? So anyway, we did send it. But also what happens with this, we know that you may not get it during anything, but a lot of people have signed up their relatives that live out of town, so they'll know what's going on. And as you know, when our town is down and our stores are closed, where are we going to go?
Yeah.
Boyceville. Well, it's in Boyceville and South Tower, so it's awesome. You'll get that then. Oh, they're giving out dry ice tomorrow, or whatever. The other thing is after a devastating event like, Irene, this would have been great to get volunteers.
No, the
You know,
communication
really-
is better than
but
it
there's
ever
so
has
many,
been.
Yeah, there's so many crevices in everything we do here, but we just have to do what we can and just work and make everything work together.
Thank you.
hopefully.
I was
So it
offering
is-
that as a suggestion.
Yeah, I'm gonna check
Again,
your
only
logs and
because I
see
didn't
why
have
you
it.
didn't get it, you know?
Okay.
It's like Amy Wright didn't get hers and she was all upset. She called me, all her friends got it, the last storm. And I looked at the log, she was on the phone. So I made the setting so that it'll automatically call back your phone 3 times if it's busy. It waits 10 minutes and it'll call a phone, whether, a landline phone or whatever. So, it's an emergency, if you're on the phone more than 30 minutes, you won't get it. But
Okay.
your friends will.
Thank you.
But we're trying.
Thank you.
Okay.
One more thing. I got 3 more things here. This one has to do with the declared emergency in the town of Shandaken.
Right.
And I could be mistaken, but I thought that Bel Air Mountain was designated as an emergency shelter.
That was before order, right?
No, that's right. That's right.
They have actually acquired money as a result of being designated as an emergency shelter. And if they are not going to be open to the public, there needs to be an investigation as to why.
And Chad, you do that.
So, when it came to opening emergency shelters, Bel Air was the first initial response. Other than the firehouses, because we know we got limited resources there as far as manpower to man stations overnight. Bel Air, I contacted Steve Peterson. Steve Peterson contacted somebody at Bel Air. They said that it was too much time it would take to get them up and running in order to receive folks. To the point where Chad can tell you that he and I took a drive up to Bel Air, right? What was it, 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night?
I was up there at 6:30 in the morning.
And they hadn't even plowed the access road for their road. Not our road was fine. It was the access road to Bel Air. So something, I don't know what went on, and I'm going to be in touch with Bel Air people and see where the ball got dropped there. And but
I just want to know.
thank you to you guys at Big Indian and Phoenicia for staying open that night and receiving people. So.
Again, that's what we do. Another issue, and this also has to do with Bel Air, at the last town board meeting, I suggested that there might be a time for the town board to get involved for a request of funding. At the time, the governor's budget had come out with $62 million, of which it was earmarked for the Lake Placid region. And since then, I understand that the governor has amended his budget to allow money to go to Bel Air specifically. So now, as opposed to, making a request, maybe it's time that we say thank you. Because again, without support, that money may not be coming next year. Having said that, last but not least, Big Indian Fire Department is having a corned beef and cabbage dinner this Saturday evening, starting at 4:30, I think, till 7:30.
All the notices will be on Channel 23, because there was a whole bunch of things and we didn't get to. I gave them to Ellen and she puts them on our loop. Which is another dinner too, There's two. There's two dinners.
Okay, well,
So,
you didn't mention those in the beginning of the meeting.
No.
Thank
you want me to now?
That's it.
Oh, you should have.
You want me to do my announcements?
Rick, can I read? Anything else?
Well, you didn't mention about Big Indian digging out the creek, going up.
On behalf of Rick, so he doesn't have to say it, we need to dredge out the creeks because this snow is going to melt, and when it melts, it will create a problem if it is not addressed beforehand.
Yeah, maybe with Chuck saying it, you'll listen now.
No, I just want, again,
Did you hear
Chuck, your last name is Perez, right?
Correct.
Yeah, you're-
PREZ, Big Indian resident, yes.
Yeah, you're not Irish, because you're a week early with St. Patty's Day.
Also, I'd like to,
Yes, sir.
you see the problem we're having with the electric, these trees, back in the 50s, a lot of people planted these pine trees. Oh, they look so wonderful. Oh, aren't they nice? Well, now they're 90 feet high, and they're going to be, they're coming down because the roots are very shallow, and they're falling. We've got to get these things down, these pine trees. They're all over Windy Ridge, Woodland Valley.
All right.
Woodland Valley.
Well, I had to, so we're digging out all the rocks out of the creek, and we're clear cutting all the trees.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Okay, then we're
It
good.
should be 25, 50 feet from any power line. No trees.
Okay.
No trees.
That's
But you've got to dig Woodland Valley, dig all the Esopus Creek and its tributaries. Now, they should be writing letters to, what's his name, Governor Cuomo. Let him come down like he came down when the girl died here, and they came down with the special compensation. They dug out the creek there. They had to wait until somebody died. Now, come on. This is a serious thing here, and nobody addresses it.
Again, that wasn't digging out, that was a removal of a debris pile.
Right, well, the debris throughout that whole system.
It's called erosion.
You can't even tube anymore, it's only about a foot deep. It's ridiculous. When I was a kid, it was 4 feet deep, and any
You were shorter when you were a kid.
Huh?
I said you were shorter when you were a kid. Full perspective.
And also, when I was out in Aspen and Telluride, Colorado years back, during the off-season, they had charged a good amount of money to ski, but then as it got later in the season, they would lower the price like significantly, probably 60-80% less than. And
I know
that's what Bel Air should do. And you guys, you're up at Bel Air. I don't know what you're doing there, Rob.
I'm teaching skiing, that's it. What are you doing now this season?
And he has a broken
There's always something with this kid.
All right. Any other public comments?
Yeah, I have a question and a comment. I know in the past the town board, the town hall, because it's got a generator, people could come here and get an outage and get cell phone calls and Wi-Fi. And I wondered if that happened this past time.
No, so
Those were out.
we don't have a generator hooked up standard to this building. The highway garage does, and to be honest with you, even if we had the generator on, we still wouldn't have had cell service or Wi-Fi because we had no cable without the power.
Okay, yeah, I was just checking.
Yeah.
That, 'cause
Yeah, we had power, there was no cable, no cell.
Yeah.
You had a Saturday.
Yeah,
When the power came on, yes.
It was that
Yeah, but so did everybody. Once the power came on, Shandaken came on with Phoenicia at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, but Phoenicia was out Sunday till like 4
Well,
o'clock.
Phoenicia, again, so I'm sorry, you missed the beginning. So what happened was that Phoenicia got turned on because there was a tree on the line heading into Phoenicia. They cut the tree down, powered Phoenicia and Shandaken overnight. Somewhere during the night, early morning, about 5:30, 6:30, somewhere in that neighborhood, Phoenicia went out. NYSEG didn't know why it went out, they just knew the breaker went off for that section. They then found out that at some point that wire had fallen off the poles, fell on the ground, and then caught fire, burned out that, and kicked the breaker off. So, again, that's what I'm saying about these temporary fixes. Know that they're doing these things to try to get power safely to everybody, but at the same time, this next little storm that's coming up could be enough to push some of these things off again, so just be prepared. Again, I don't think you're going to really need a need for ice. But water is not a bad idea to have if you're on a private well and stuff. Just getting some water from, go down to Lowe's or whatever, Sam's Club, and grab some bottles of water. Of course, we have them down in Phoenicia as well right now. So.
Well, too bad the paper won't come out till Thursday.
Right.
My comment is, I signed up for those alerts from NYSEG, which of course I can't get here, but I happened to be out of town this weekend, so I was getting the alerts, and they're all incorrect.
Yeah.
Did you sign up for our alerts? You get our alerts, right?
I got
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
But the
it.
NYSEG alerts, they say
Well-
that the power's out after the power comes on. They say the power is on when it's out, and it's just
Everybody's having trouble.
We've made mention of
NYSEG
this.
says we got your back.
Well, also, when you call the 800 number, they tell you to go on the website. If I could go on the website, I wouldn't be using the phone to call the 800 number. So I did call that woman and left a message like, hey, and then they did change it back to the 800.
So yeah, if you do get any cell service, one of the better ways is go to the outage list. You go punch in, just Google it, NYSEG outage list, and it'll give you at least a general idea of when you can expect. But I'll tell you, there was a general post that they put out there, it showed all the hamlets coming on at 11:45 p.m. on Saturday, and I'm like, and then I talked again. I have the phone number for a guy with boots on the ground, and he's saying, yeah, that's not going to happen. So he gave me the time frames, and I was trying to post them because we have cell service still in Pine Hill. Trying to post them through Facebook and linking it with the town's page. That's the best way I can think of getting out. Again, as Joyce was saying, somebody's got to go down to Boyceville, get the word, and when power comes up into Phoenicia, they'll start looking at it, and they can spread the word with people stopping.
It was amazing the number of people that got on Facebook, even though there was no power here. So they do get it, and they can have friends get it because it's an open page, it's open to the public. It's the website is really hard to update though, unless you have I can't do it. The phone is really hard. That's glasses on, it's tiny, it's really hard. I need a laptop.
This was on Saturday when I was.
So do you want me to do our announcements for the month? Since we've got some cool stuff coming up, go ahead.
We did thank a lot of people, but I'd like to also thank Chief of Police, Chad Story, and Supervisor Stanley, because you guys, I think you worked right through the weekend. Yeah, like you guys just, so, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Yes, sir.
With the departing of Joe Strauss, I think if you could get him on there, I think Wayne Benjamin would be a good man on that board.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate your comment.
All right.
Thank you.
Does anyone hear
Go
this?
ahead, yeah.
Okay, so we have a lot of events coming this month. The Phoenicia PTA is having that magic show that was canceled last week because of the weather. I hope that it'll be this Friday, March 9th at 6:30 at Phoenicia School. Big Indian Firehouse is having their corned beef and cabbage dinner this Saturday, the 10th, 4:30 to 7:30, and that's at the Firehouse. Sunday, March 11th is a Cabin Fever concert. Alicia, and I can't read the rest of that. It's like a Bob Dog? What is that? Bob Dog? At the Phoenicia Library, Sunday, March 11th at 2 p.m. It could be worse. Uplifting Thoughts at the End of the World. Join us for an evening of readings from local luminaries. There'll be John Kill, Violet Snow, and Sparrow will be at the Phoenicia Library Friday, March 16th for a pre-reading reception at 5, and the reading is at 6. Corned beef dinner at the Shandaken Memorial Methodist Church, March 17th. World famous corned beef, potatoes, cabbage, and carrots. Takeout start at 4:30. Sit down starts at 5. The Computer Fixer Guy, which is free. You can fix any computer or device. He'll be at the Phoenicia Library Friday, March 23rd, 5 to 7:45 p.m. Drop in, free. And our famous rabies and distemper clinic is finally coming up, March 24th. And the low-cost $25 cat spay program is still in effect. We've spayed almost, I think, 200 cats at $25 rather than $300 if that's mostly what. So this is on Saturday, March 24th. Shots start at 9 o'clock. Dogs and cats, rabies or distemper shots. And you check my office to get the cat spay voucher. One more, two more. And the M.F. Whitney Hose Company is having the spring egg hunt on March 31st, Sunday at 1 p.m. at the Parish Field. 1 p.m. this year. And lastly, it's Thursday, April 5th. We have at the Shandaken Memorial Methodist Church is hosting the Citizen Preparedness Corps Training Program. Thursday, April 5th, 7 p.m. at the Shandaken Memorial Methodist Church. And you can sign up online for that. And we do have that posted everywhere. Okay? That's it.
And Rick, just so you know, up at Bel Air this Saturday, at about 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, they have the Mogul Mash. I'll see you there, right?
Mobile base?
Mogul Mash.
Mobile.
You see the moguls.
You won't see me there.
Okay.
Did you see that?
Any other comments?
Ski Patrol Barbecue, Saturday night.
Oh,
Ski Patrol Barbecue?
Yeah, the Bel Air Ski Patrol.
Oh,
Bel Air Ski Patrol.
Saturday night at Bel Air, 6 o'clock.
okay. Very good. Tailgate party is the 17th. Well, the competition.
Right, Chuck, 6 o'clock?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So, Spoon.
One more comment apropos to emergencies that have been going on lately and whatnot, and the event just listed at the Memorial Methodist Church. The disaster preparedness training event is, I brought some flyers here tonight. You might like them. It's being put on by the members of the state of New York, National Guard. It's part of Andrew Cuomo, sorry. Governor Cuomo's effort to have everybody prepared. It's an hour-and-a-half disaster preparedness course training event. People that come, every family that come will get a bag something like this, full of emergency supplies, some training on what to do for when you're without power for 3 or 4 days. And here just like 3 days worth of supply, water, instant rations, duct tape, gloves, things like that. So go to Prepare New York. It's posted on our website, on our Facebook page. And so it says there's downstairs. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about it. And once it's in the back, and we're going to be serving pizza a little bit before the 7 o'clock day listing. So we're going to come around 6:30 and we're going to have pizza for you.
All right.
April 5th, Thursday night.
Where's that going to be?
Church, just down the road, about 1 mile. Methodist Church.
Okay. Thank you,
Never
Ken.
when you about it.
Thank you.
And by the way, April 5th is 2005 is when we had the big flood too. April 5th, 2005.
All right. Thanks, Rick. Any other public comments? If there's no other public comment, I'd like to close the meeting in memory of Leighton Scudder. Please take a moment. Motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Second. Second. Favor?
Aye.